Test.
Ready? Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Skowhegan Select Board at 5:30 p.m. It's January 27th, 2026. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the town manager's report. Nick, can you give us an update, please?
Yes, I can. I just have a couple things here. Can you folks hear me? There we go. First off, I just want to give a special thanks to the Highway Department for managing the snowstorm we just had. It was a lot of hours in the equipment, and we had no accidents this storm, and we've had a lot of compliments on the attentiveness. So I appreciate all the guys working long hours up there. I also want to give a shout out to the rec department. We opened our emergency shelter this weekend because of the sub-zero temperatures, and the rec department sprung into action, staffed it, and made sure that we had a good spot for folks if they needed it. And we're prepared to do an overnight if needed. Thankfully, we didn't, but big shout out to them for making sure they could coordinate that on such short notice. My last update, but it's a sort of a big one, is last meeting I talked about, and for a couple of meetings I've talked about, we're going to be restructuring how we do the budget. And in the past, for context, the town has just spent a day, a marathon meeting as I've called it, doing the whole entire budget on a Saturday. And that's not as productive as it could be. So in the spirit of public transparency and board fatigue and just overall department head being able to have time to explain their budget, I've split up tentatively the budget meetings over 5 select board meetings. So February 24th, we're going to have the transfer station, cemeteries, and the town manager departments present their budget. March 3rd, we're going to have Parks and Recreation, the finance department, and community request budgets presented. March 10th, this is a regular select board. The previous one was a special one on March 3rd. March 10th will be, during a regular select board meeting, the assessing department, community development, and general assistance. March 17th will be a special select board meeting. These are all a week after each other, so it's a select board meeting every week on a Tuesday at 5:30. So some of these will be special select board meetings. So this one's a special select board meeting. It'll be Highway Department, Pollution Control. And then the following week, on that Tuesday, March 24th, it'll be Police and Fire Departments. And then we have the 31st reserved if we need to have an additional one to refine and review. And then at the April 14th meeting, the select board should adopt a budget for presentation in the annual town meeting report. The budget committee did some research, and we're going to need to appoint some members. It looks like some expired. But the budget committee will be reviewing sort of simultaneously as the select board is, and then at the end, per the bylaws, they're supposed to review the final budget that the select board has adopted for their comment 30 days before town meeting. So they will be meeting afterwards to review the budget and make the recommendations. Dave?
Is the budget committee going to be joining us on the special selectmen's meetings so that we're not doing this twice?
No, we're gonna have to do this twice, but yeah, you seem disappointed. Don't worry. We're gonna streamline it. It'll be fine. They'll have fewer meetings. The budget committee won't have as much availability, so we're gonna have shorter meetings or fewer meetings with them, but targeted. So that is the tentative process. I promised you guys I'd have a timeline, and this is what I have. I think it puts us in a good position to have a budget ready for the report that isn't rushed and that is in full view of the public. And that's it from my reports.
All right, thank you, Nick. So we're going to move on to department and committee reports. We'll start off with the chief, Bucknam.
Thank you. Welcome back from your
what, 2-month-long vacation? I
Good
don't
to be
see
back.
much of a tan on you, so I'm not sure where you went exactly, but do want to bring to light the last Selectmen's meeting. I'll let you know that we were having a joint training exercise with the National Guard here over at the Armory. Want you to know everything went extremely well up there. Great job with PD and fire both working with the National Guard to work on a critical incident up there training exercise. It went so well, they're talking about wanting to do another one sooner than later, and I think that's in everybody's best interest. Keeps everybody up to speed, and also helps us to identify areas where we need to put a little bit more manpower here or do something different to make it work better. So it's excellent all the way around. Would like to just briefly talk about the roads. I know the highway department has been out there clearing the roads a lot, but the roads still get wet when that sun comes out and it starts drying or trying to dry some of the slush that's up there or the black ice that's out there. Just need to remind everybody, if you're driving, number one, you should be driving with due care out there, not speeding down Madison Avenue. If you're coming to a stop or coming up to a stop, you need to start slowing down well before that stop. The normal 20 foot before a stop sign or a red light is just not going to work in this type of situation. You're going to slide, and then you're going to cause an accident, getting people hurt. You need to pay attention on Madison Avenue. There are people turning left and right and everything else on both sides of those roads. Pedestrians are out there as well. We need to pay attention and make sure that when you see them trying to cross the road, we're stopping or slowing down for them well out of their way to make sure that they get across the road safely. So I'd ask everybody to do their due diligence and take care of that and watch out for everybody out there, because we had a good weekend with all the weather and everything. People stayed off the roads that didn't need to be on the roads, and I cannot thank you enough, and I know Highway probably talk about that as well. But so other than that, that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Jason Finley.
How we doing, guys? So, we did have a pretty good storm. Good, everybody did well. My guys kicked butt. They did a good job. Couple things, plowing across the street, can't happen. You're putting your snow in the street, it's not a thing. Someone's gonna get hurt, you know? A lot of people pushing their snow across the street. I can't go see them all, but pushing snow in the sidewalks. It took me all day with 2 machines to clear the sidewalks on Madison Ave, because everybody pushes their snow right in the sidewalks. We gotta have bucket loaders and everything else. We want our sidewalks clean. When we get 2 machines out there, 3 machines out there trying to just get Madison Ave and North Ave open all day. So we gotta pay attention a little bit about this, so let's work together and see if we can help out, because it costs us a lot of money to keep these streets clean and sidewalks clean, so thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Gail?
I just have one reminder that dogs are due this week. We're in a new system. We can't do courtesy calls. So after Friday when we close, if you come in Monday morning, it's $25, a late fee, a dog. So come in this week and get them taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Not sure. I don't see any other committee department heads. So I think we're going to move on. We'll now move on to conflict of interest disclosure. Are there any conflicts? Amber?
I do not.
Ethan?
I do not.
Kevin?
I do not.
Elijah? No. I have no conflicts, so we'll move on from that. Let's go to select board items. Amber?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say how lovely it was to see so many Skowhegan residents and businesses at the Ag Trade Show in Augusta recently. We had a good showing up there of folks that are in the farming and food businesses. So great to see many of you who came and walked the floors. And also wanted to let you know that Build Maine is coming back to Skowhegan on June 2nd and 3rd. If you've been to that before, it's a conference that appeals to town planners, town managers, select board members, architects, designers, anyone that has a skill set and interest in how we design town infrastructure and growth responsibly and cost efficiently. And it's a great conference for learning about new concepts and helping us make decisions. So I enjoyed going to some workshops last year on parking and infill that can increase our tax base and things like that. So,
Is that the third year in a row?
or fourth. They stick with a community that has been a good host, and they are sticking with us again this year. So encourage you all to check it out online. You can register to attend, and would encourage all of us involved in town government to consider going. Thanks.
Brian and I are going, so if you guys want to be registered, let me know. And we have a small
Okay.
training budget for you guys to register.
Thank you, Amber. Ethan?
I just want to make a quick comment on the roads. I've heard from a few different people that during the storm that they were the best roads around, so thank you, Jason, and you guys.
Good job, Jason.
Kevin?
I have nothing.
Elijah?
I'm all set too, thank you.
So I have a few things to say. One is I had a wonderful vacation, if anybody wants to know. Florida. Clear blue skies the whole time I was there. I got really lucky. But the drive down and back is horrible. And I'm glad I'm home just in time for a nice snowstorm. I do also want to mention something about the roads. One is, Jason, you are doing a really good job. I've gotten some feedback from several residents. They just call me up, and they're happy with how the roads are being done. So I appreciate what you and your department are doing. I did want to bring up one issue with Madison Ave. We all know that there is still a top coat that needs to be put on there. And it's going to happen this spring or summer. But until then, the side roads and the driveways off Madison Ave are higher up than the road. So it makes it difficult for cars coming off, on and off on the streets, side streets to Madison Ave, and also for residents who live off of Madison Ave to get in and out of their house without, bottoming their car out. So I would just ask people to slow down on Madison Ave and realize when people are making a left in front of you to get into their house, they're not going slow to annoy you. They're just trying to not blow out their fender. So that's it. And Chief, I appreciate that you brought that up. With that said, we're going to move on to my favorite, which is items by the public. Please step up to the mic.
Hi everyone, my name is Thomas, I'm my business partner Max. We've never done one of these before, so go easy on us. We're not here to ruffle any feathers, but rather to educate and maybe open some minds. I'll start off with two fun facts as to basically why me and Max moved here for work. He's from Washington, I'm from Illinois. But Maine's going through something that a lot of states aren't, and you guys have one of the highest electric bills in the country. And the other fun fact I'd like to portray is that this state only has an average income of $40,000. So as you can imagine, families are really struggling here to pay their electric bills and keep up, and CMP doesn't really seem to care. But one thing that most people don't know is that on your electric bill, I even have an example right here. I encourage you all to go check out your electric bill when you get home tonight. Up in this left-hand corner, there's a nice little green box, and that box indicates, not very well, that you guys are paying $15 a month for solar farms, for other neighbors with rooftop solar on their rooftops, and there's really no way around it. But the fact is, you're paying for something that you're not utilizing. And again, it's these solar farms that are already been built, they're already paid for, they're already operating. But the fact is, you guys are funding these solar farms and you're not utilizing them. And what we do is we help families that are struggling to afford their electric bills to drastically lower them with systems in place that are already built and already paid for. But yeah, go ahead, take it away.
I mean, by everybody's tax dollars. It's money that we're all paying in, whether you want to or not. And Tommy's totally right. I mean, we came here, we live here now permanently, but we traveled across the country. And there's a lot of things that helped us identify this area as highly viable for exactly what your state is putting in front of you and charging you for. And it's largely because most states, this business is transacted through door-to-door communication. And in Maine, with the houses being so spaced out, less houses as a whole, not many people have taken advantage of these programs. And because of that, in the same note, like if you're not used to having people come by your door, it's going to catch you off guard. And then really quickly, one miscommunication leads to us looking really bad across the community.
And let me just throw in on that.
Yeah.
It ends up being the Facebook trolls that don't really know what we're even there to talk about in the first place, and then they just, ruin our image right away without even hearing us out. And when we're truly there to help them.
Yeah, and small town communities like this are awesome. Like I grew up in a town that's smaller than this, and but word travels fast. And so I guess all we're really trying to say is that like these services can help you if you give them a shot, and if you have your neighbor that heard one thing and it kind of develops into a bigger situation, it's actually a good thing. Maybe take some time to look into it. So, and we've had a recent catalyst to bring us closer to the community recently. I don't know if anybody happens to recognize us. Chief definitely does, but the murder that happened right down the road was right next to where we stay.
Our next door neighbor. You probably saw the Ring video doorbell camera, maybe on the news, that we provided to the police and all the investigators.
State police or whatever. Yeah.
To help, maybe we like to think we helped capture him. I don't know. But he's behind bars where he belongs.
But yeah, all that to say is it's sucked us a little bit more into the community, and we saw that this was an availability tonight. And it's like, well, since it's the closest we've ever been with the area that we're in, like let's take a real stab at coming to you guys and just speaking on what we're talking about here tonight. And the last thing too is community solar is awesome. It's those fields that you see and you drive around and you pass them all the time within the state.
They may be ugly, but they're already there. And you guys already paid for them.
Yeah.
So it's silly to not use something that you're already funding. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that program is really kind of a backup to the ones that you put the panels on your own roof. So if your house is not absolutely covered in trees, we can help people take their bills down like nearly 50%.
And most people think it costs money out of pocket. It does not. $0 are coming out of your pocket to put panels on your roof to start saving instantly. It's day one return on investment because there is no investment.
Right.
It's something you qualify for through the state and the federal government. Our entire electrical grid is failing. It got a D+ from the American Society of Engineers. It's literally crumbling, and now we're throwing thousands of electric cars at it every single day. These solar farms, while they may be ugly, they are taking relief off of the grid so that the whole thing does not collapse altogether. It's an actually national security threat. If another country wanted to attack us, the first thing they're taking out is our weak grid. So by you guys utilizing these programs, you're making us stronger as a country, whether you think so or not.
And we're not trying to hard sell you. I'm going to sit down because I'm feeling awkward at this point. But all I'm saying is give your locals a chance because it'll help you.
And we didn't know what we were expecting to get out of this, but
Yeah.
Well, real quick, maybe I can help you sit down. Just kidding. If you have some pamphlets or anything, you're welcome to bring them down to the town office.
Sure.
Let people have actual information so they can kind of put together everything that you spoke about tonight.
Yeah.
And then they'll have a better understanding with some contact information that you guys have.
Yep.
That would be very beneficial.
awesome. Thank you, Chief.
Cool. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
We can stay for a little bit. I got to leave for one of those appointments.
I'm just going to make a quick note here. When I was in Florida and I came back, I was comparing electrical bills down there. And for 467 kilowatts, the bill down there was $83. I compared that up here with CMP, called CMP. It's $150+ up here. So our per capita, as they stated, is much less than the per capita income down in Florida. Essentially, we're paying 83% more for electricity up here. And it's something that needs to be dealt with in the future if we're going to be successful. Just my thoughts. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the Select Board meeting.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, I have a first and a second to approve the Select Board meeting minutes as of January 13th, 2026. Are there any corrections?
Great job, Angel.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
You should abstain. You weren't here.
That's right, sorry. I put that down too.
It'll be 401.
401.
Sorry.
Nope, you were right. We're going to move on to the regular agenda. The first item up for discussion is discussion and decision to appoint a member or representative of the elected select board to the Somerset County Commissioners Budget Committee. I'm going to let Nick
You'll need a first and a second.
Approve as written.
I'm,
sorry.
Ooh, well,
I move we appoint Kevin Nelson.
there we go.
That's what you do.
Second.
We have,
A first by Amber, a second by Elijah.
We had the easy button.
Take. I already locked him in.
okay, so we have a first from Amber, and a first by Amber and a second by Elijah. Any others?
Discussion?
Okay, seeing no discussion,
Just vote.
all those in
John, do
favor?
you have any words tonight about what this job entails? Do you want to?
John, we're on a roll, so.
Hi, I'm John Olson. I'm the county commissioner for Skowhegan and Cornville, and you're gonna love every minute of it.
I'm sure.
No, it's important that we have members from the community on our budget committee, and they do important work, and it's not too painful. We don't have it, I heard about all your budget committee meetings coming up, and they're far fewer than that list. That's good.
Just don't
Okay.
forget to save us money.
Elijah.
Well spoken.
Do my best.
No spend, spend, spend. Save, save, save.
And you make a good point, that last year we didn't increase our budget at all. So, pretty tight distance at the county level. We tried.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
That was so fast to lock you right in there.
Next.
You gotta vote on it.
Yeah. You gotta have
All those in
official.
favor?
Yeah.
All right, motion carries 5-0. Next item up for discussion is a decision to approve a citizen request of submitting a letter of support for the Select Board in support of a grant application for the Skowhegan Stump Jumpers. And I'll ask Chris White to come up and discuss this.
After you ask for a first and a
Oh,
second.
I'm sorry. Do I have a first?
Like to approve it as written?
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Elijah and a second from Ethan.
So what this is, guys, I'm Chris, the Trail Master. This is Joanna, the president for the Stump Jumpers. Guys, this is what I see as our club's next step to get people actively into Skowhegan. We had 2,580 machines come through a trail that is no longer open this year. We've got outlook on a trail going up into Cornville. It is going to take me a year to get permits and get bridge materials and everything in place. I don't want the town of Skowhegan to be a year without ATVs. We're working diligently with the Norwich Walk Club to get the Norwich Walk Trail back open. That is going to be a lot of work and a lot of time on their end, because they will own that end of the trail where it's in Norwich Walk. It will not fall on our taxpayers. It will not be anything for Skowhegan to, be burdened with. What I've come up with, and I've talked with the engineers that did the school assessments on North Avenue and everything, and I'm looking at opening up North Avenue as ATV traffic. We've done plenty of looking at it with the state, with the engineers and everything. Unofficially, I've done this with them when they've been here. Brian's put me in touch with them. Going forward, they would still need to do more studies and stuff. But we would be opening up North Avenue to allow people to get from High Street up to the Molunkus Road. I know that you guys are thinking the Molunkus Road is in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. The state is weighing options on moving that back to Hilton Hill, the other side of the bridge. So that's being taken into consideration on this application. They are not so worried about that speed limit, as it's a long straightaway, no hills, it's wide open sight plane. It's better than 201, and 201 has been being used for a couple, 3 years now.
Without incident.
The town, what I'm asking for is the select board to write a letter saying how allowing this would affect the town. It's not a final decision, it's not saying that it's approved, it's nothing. This is a long process. I need to accompany a letter, good or bad, with the application from the select board saying how it will affect the town. We saw thousands of dollars spent in our town this year on ATV traffic. And I think that there is room to grow with this, with the Riverwalk coming in, you know, South Side trails growing. I want to see this grow. This is not a permanent solution. This is to get people in here until we can get the trail open up on the Molunkus Road coming down in by Ken's. So I know, Chief, you and I have talked, and you don't want traffic on the roads. You know, so it is a temporary thing. So.
I'll give my thoughts here in just a second.
Are dirt bikes allowed on these ATV trails?
Yes, as of right now, all of our trails are dirt bike friendly. However, we have some landowners that, with some incidences that's happened, they are borderline of shutting that down.
Yes.
So we have people that ATV guide that can speak on this. We have landowners and people that have access roads, you know, going by their house. One thing I will say, I've gone to people on Bigelow Hill. We've had access roads in this town now for 2 years. And for 2 years, 2 years ago, we were met with heavy criticism on Bigelow Hill about speed, about noise, about the drinking, about all the stuff that people see ATVers doing or think they're going to do. There hasn't been one complaint put into Somerset Com on any of our roads, Russell Road or Bigelow Hill Road. No noise complaints, no speed complaints. When speaking to the residents on Bigelow Hill, they wish that they had done this years ago because it slows some people down. Not everybody, but it does slow some people down. So the fact that we're looking at trying to open up another road, you know, some towns are wanting to open up everything willy-nilly. I don't want to do that. I want feedback, and I want to do this in a controlled environment. And I think that this is the next step to get traffic in here.
We don't feel that every road should be opened either.
No.
That's
So,
something.
couple things, Chris. One thing, look at the board. It's
Sorry.
supposed to be, and just a reminder for everyone, when you come up to the microphone, you're talking to the board, not the public. It's supposed to be a board meeting.
Oh, okay.
So just talk to them, not the public.
Okay.
They can listen in and chime in if the chair wants to entertain questions. Second, reiterate and just be specific. You need a letter from the board, not to support an application, but just to accompany it, saying yay or nay to the parameters you outlined here with Route.
Yes.
Yep.
So
For North Ave.
basically what we're looking for is something from the board stating how this would impact. You know, it's going to allow ATVers to get to other businesses that they can't now. It's going to allow a large portion of people on the North Ave area to access trails that they wouldn't normally be able to access. There's a lot of people in this town. We had 554 ATVs registered to people.
Right.
Not all of those people have trailers. Some of them register them and leave them elsewhere because they can't ride from their house. So trying to get them to spend money and, you know, ride from their house.
So a couple things. One, I'm not so sure the board is going to be able to write a letter, like authorize a letter today if they know all the impacts of it. I think what the board may want to do is delegate this task to staff to investigate this week and compile a letter on behalf of the select board at the end of the week or whenever this grant is due. I know Dave's going to have some comments with this, and it might be pertinent to get Brian and Jason's comments as well. The fact that it doesn't need to be a letter of support from the board, just what the impact is with the town, I think that's the best route going forward. I don't know if board members have questions right now to clarify, but that's my interpretation of this request.
The timing on this there is no timing, but the faster we get the application in, the faster the ball gets rolling.
Is there an application due date?
No, I can submit this application at any point in time. It takes a few months to get it approved. The state sends out multiple people to look at different things. They do speed things. Right now, because they're already looking at moving that speed limit, that kind of weighs in on my decision to kind of jump this and get it in while they're doing that. Just because
Right.
they're already doing some of the stuff, it's not going to be a burden to the town.
This application doesn't actually go to like the people that do our grants and stuff like this. This goes above. This
Yeah.
goes up to the state's DOT and
Okay.
the big guys.
And I want to reiterate that this is, for our club to open up more trails, we need more income coming in. We need to show that the taxpayers here are not paying for this and that the club is doing it. So the more people we can get to join the club, the more business we can bring in, the more we can do. We've opened up our first trail, no money to the taxpayers at all. And this next section of trail this summer is going to be the same way. It's going to be totally grant funded and, raffles and things that we're doing, fundraising.
Can you tell me what the mile high view of this is? So like you're trying to get from here to the top, to the Moncus Road?
Yes.
And then that allows people to come from the north?
That will allow people from Athens, Heartland, Newport, Cornville, Bingham, everybody can come down through the Somerset Ridge Runners trails that circle through Cornville. So all of that is already in place. We just need to get to
Our overall goal is to get Greenville to come here.
They can't get to Ken's?
Not yet.
So right now, Cornville has opened up their roads. On the Moncus Road, there's a power line, but there is a major bridge washout that's going to be a big project, and that's going to be probably a year and a half to 2 years. It's triple the size of the one we put in this year, and the fact that it's on a power line is, we've now got to have state certified, CMP certified people to do it, and it's a lot bigger project. So.
I'm just curious, was the connectivity of ATV trails part of the village partnership initiative conversations that were happening some time ago? I see Chief shaking his head. You chaired the committee. I see you shaking your head. Yes?
No, ma'am.
Yes and no.
Maybe not that committee, there was other conversations
Okay.
with other trails and the trails law.
Okay.
It was the trail.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Step up.
I guess when you go and look at, going to look into this to see if it's something you'd support, look at the economic impact. I spoke upstairs during the Run of the River, and I think that it all ties together. A model like Greenville's open. I've guided ATV trips into Greenville, the Forks. And so Greenville's a model that has gone and allowed traffic on those roads, and it has the calming effect. It slowed the tractor-trailer trucks down. Greenville originally was kind of like, oh, we can't do this, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is pretty cool, because the 18-wheeler coming down through town was going 25 because the ATV was going 25 instead of 45. So, but to get the key, Steve Gould and I were kind of the starters of the stump jumpers. And then Chris took over and has the energy. Steve and I just didn't have the time. And he has knocked on doors and really made it happen. And to get people here and coexist with the people that might be paddling, the people that might be mountain biking, I think is extremely important. And I keep using the example because I recreate in New Hampshire as well. I can go this weekend if I want to, and I might, and I can drive my snowmobile from my camp in Upton, Maine. I can drive to Berlin and I can drive to Gorham. They intentionally leave certain sidewalks unplowed. You drive your snowmobile right to the parking lot, you get off, and you go to the restaurant. In the summertime, ATVs in Gorham and Berlin, you can drive down the streets to every single restaurant. And I see more ATVs at the motels and at the restaurants than I do cars. But I also see people hiking, mountain biking, and doing all the other activities. So if we're really truly trying to the economic development here of trying to recreate in this town, I think it needs to be considered. And I don't like riding an ATV on a tar road. But if you've got to get to a town or you've got to get out of a town, 150 is as flat and line of sight as you can get. I've guided ATVs coming off that Frank Savage Road and running down 201 back into Bingham. It scares the heck out of me because they're going 55, 60 miles an hour going by you, and there's a guardrail right there. This one right here is a pretty straight shot and pretty. We have all sorts of people making noise with vehicles too, as you know. It's not ATVs, right? It's the people that don't have the right exhaust. It could be a motorcycle. We've got e-bikes, and I think it's great that the e-bikes can go on the trails as well. But we've got a population of people in this town riding bikes that don't know how to ride a bike. They're riding on the wrong side of the road. They're riding on sidewalks, and they're probably not registered because I don't think you have to register them. So I definitely would hope that you would consider all of it. The safety as well. I know that Chief's going to have some safety concerns, and he should. Thank you.
Thank you, Serene.
So what I'm hearing is that we might not be able to approve, there is not a letter to approve tonight, but that we could approve a draft that outlines some of the town's strategic priorities from our comprehensive plan. We can outline what we anticipate the safety concerns might be. We could outline our support generally for the connectivity of trails and as it relates to our focus on recreation and economic development here in town. And it might be important just to cite the timeline that you're mentioning, that this is a temporary solution. We know that we probably have a bridge project coming through town. And we could lay all that out in a letter that just summarizes our understanding of your need and where we are.
So you mentioned the new bridge project. When talking to the DOT engineers about this, that was brought up. And it was said to me at that point, if we have a trail on the south side and we have an access road on the north side, that will automatically be figured into the bridge and that they will make accommodations for that. That's way over my head. I know nothing about safety net or any on that, but that's their engineers, and that is something that Brian has asked me to take a real close look at and to see if we can get done. We have a trail. We have a trail right on the other side of the walking bridge, right off from Jill Blair Street. So there is a trail there. If we can get something here, then we can submit that. Brian has the paperwork to submit and can do that. The other piece that I hadn't brought up, it totally slipped my mind until Seren said it, and I was hoping Christine would be here tonight. I've been working with Main Street Skowhegan because I think there's a great thing going on at Northern Outdoors right now. Guys go up there on a Friday night, they jump on a wheeler, they ride over to Jackman or down to Bingham, they grab lunch, they hit the river on Saturday, and then they take off and go riding for a little bit on Sunday. Christina loves the idea of people coming here to run the river. And what better way than, we got a guide right here, hook him up with some people that would love to come to Skowhegan, jump on their ATVs, and leave out of the center parking lot and hit a guided trail and go for a ride up to Greenville or something. It's a new destination. It brings people here. They don't have to go to the Forks to run the river. They don't have to go up there anymore. So.
And there was a gentleman in our initial ride, our group ride that we did that had a canoe strapped onto the top of his side-by-side, that he goes out fishing in that, and that's, I don't know, remember where he was going with it, but I was blown away that he has this canoe on a side-by-side. And that's what he does. He had fishing poles, little freshwater fishing poles in the back of his side-by-side. So he's there, he's out, and he's doing what he does with that.
So I think the board's generally supportive of the ATV, right? So I just want to stay focused here. So
Yes.
you need a letter that's going to outline the impacts, right? And I think Amber outlined it perfectly. There's an economic piece, there's a safety piece, and there's going to be the general support of the board for this type of activity in our town. I definitely can craft that at some point and circulate it for review, and then you guys can approve it then. I think that should be our next step.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you guys for your
Thank
time.
you.
Table this until we have a draft.
So the language of it's just to
Chris,
approve it.
also, don't be afraid to reach out to CMP and see if they're willing to donate any of their time for trying to fix a bridge like that, because I think that they do so many volunteer projects per year, and other construction companies might help out too.
Yeah, I have been working with them for power poles and materials.
Nice.
Hammond Lumber has offered up a bunch of support. They said get them a list of what we will need when the time comes.
Cool.
A large part of it is going to be getting all the ducks in a row and making sure that we can get everything in place. I'm still working on a couple of the landowners that they need to get to that. But that's coming along.
Sounds good. Good luck.
Eventually we'll send it out.
So we have a motion and a second to approve a letter of support for the grant. We could approve that tonight. We don't have that letter tonight, but that would be created at a later date with our
Yep,
input.
I'll circulate
and-
it.
So, should we do it?
I think just,
All those in favor?
Yeah.
okay.
Then we'll get a draft. Then
You'll get a draft, yeah, yep.
I mean, can we give our opinion
Yeah.
about
You're
this?
gonna circulate, I'll circulate it.
Okay. Because I think it's, clearly, I think this is a good idea. And we shouldn't wait years to get it done. Okay.
I'll do it by
I know, I'm impatient. All right, we're going to move on to item 3, discussion and decision to extend the 2025 paving contract per the purchasing policy for 3 years, locking in the same 2025 tonnage rates with Roundy Paving for paving services for the annual town roads, streets, and sidewalks. And I can see, Jason, you're eager to give us an update on this.
But let's get a first and a second.
Oh, again, I did that. Can I
So
get a first?
moved, as written, for
Second.
discussion.
Thank you, Amber, and thank you, Ethan.
Why do we want to lock it in rather than sending it out to bid?
I think you'll get a big savings. Usually it goes up 10%, 15% every year. And we'll get the benefit of, he'll be able to go out on the roads with me and know what we should be doing to that road this year and what will be get better pricing for it, I think. He does an excellent job. I've had him the last 3 years. Works good with us, polite to the public. I think it's a win for us.
Yeah, and I'll add, paving is one of the most expensive pieces in a public works budget. It's one of the hardest to control because we are at the mercy of contractors. It's not something we typically can do in-house unless we go to the asphalt mill and bring it ourselves and patch it ourselves. So this is a good deal. Jason has assured me, and I do believe him just by looking around. These are great rates. If we can lock them in for 3 years, I think that's excellent. Our purchasing policy allows us to amend contracts to extend them in cases like this. So we have the authority with the board. The only thing I would add is, Amber, you made the motion. I would suggest you just amend your motion to include with that extension the municipal funding clause, When I reviewed the original contract, it was basic. It didn't have that. That's a standard clause we put in at end of municipal contracts. So if we don't have funding that year, or if we decide to go a different direction with paving, we're not obligated for those 3 years to do something with that contract. So that's the only amendment I would recommend. It gives us protection and an out if we need it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so we have an amendment to the motion.
Well, she needs to make that amendment.
Yeah, I'm happy to amend it. The only comment I would make is just as someone not in this particular kind of business, the only other helpful thing might have been to understand some comps. You know, are we getting the best price? I don't know. You know, we're getting
could have
this
brought you
price.
last year's
I
comps.
trust that you're happy with the service, and certainly, you know, I trust that Nick understands and sees
Yeah.
these quotes more often, but I have nothing to compare it to.
They were considerably lower than everybody else last year when they bid on it. I know there's other towns that's done the same thing in the past. Winslow's done it with Pike before. They give them a good rate on that when they did theirs. This is a good number. Especially in the third year, it will really be a good number.
Okay. And I am happy to amend my motion to include the municipal funding clause.
Okay, we need a second.
A second?
We have a first from Amber and a second from Elijah to amend the clause to add for municipal funding. All those in favor?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Motion carries 5-0. We're going to move on to discussion item 4. Discussion and decision to approve the renewal application for on-premises beer, wine, and spirits for DP Chen Incorporated for Mealy Garden.
Approve as written.
I have a first from Ethan
Second?
and a second from Kevin. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Item 5 has been pulled off the agenda for tonight, so we're going to move on to item 6. Discussion and decision to authorize the town manager to sign the lease agreement between the town of Skowhegan and Main Street Skowhegan for Phase 1 of the Riverwalk project.
So moved.
Second.
First from Ethan, and first from Elijah, and a second from Kevin.
So this is just, I'm cleaning up. We approved this at a town meeting. I just need the authority to sign it with Christina. There's been no substantial changes. The lease is
Cool.
I've just made it look very nice and in uniform.
Thank you, Nick. Any further discussion? Yes,
Has there been a figure on this agreement?
We're going to get $1 out of the lease.
$1 is all we're gonna get? For
Per year.
what time period?
per month.
Date or time? Or-
Yearly.
You're serious?
We're going to make money on the lease. $1 a year.
Okay.
In exchange, we get an organization that is going to do all of the labor, bear all of the liability, do all of the work, do all of the snow removal. We're getting a great deal.
No tax money involved at all?
No, sir.
No,
Just a lot of people spending.
it protects the town, it protects the town's liability, and the town is not forced to have to pay for additional expenses relative to this project. And this project has been going on for quite a long time. There's been a lot of planning. And I feel like this moves the town forward to take advantage of all the grant money that Main Street's put together. And it also satisfies the concerns of many residents that did not want their tax dollars to go or be increased due to any extra work. So it's a win-win.
And we get $1 a year.
And I think you already voted for this at the town meeting.
Yeah. You were there.
You were
Oh,
there.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the fact that I want to be clear, yes and no, no money from the taxpayers. You know,
There you
my
go.
taxes went up $800 last year. I want my money's worth. And I don't live in a mansion, drive a big fancy car, you know, and I'm on fixed income, so
Yeah.
You know, I'm concerned, not just for myself, and there's a lot of people in this town in the same situation.
I take your concerns very seriously.
Yeah.
And I've heard from a lot of people that feel the same way. And we're trying to be very prudent with how we're spending the money and how we're running the town.
So, I guess I have something I want to ask. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that we give Main Street Skowhegan some money, like we budget that in. Is that correct? I think it was $80,000 last year.
Is that under the community services?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, there are some taxpayer dollars going to this. So who's to say that they don't come in and say that they want to, like, ask for $120,000 next year?
Well, that part of the budget, that's like what the Humane Society asks for money, the Animal Shelter asks for money, nonprofit organizations ask for money. So that's separate from this project. That's just their organization established a community ask every year that's voted for at town meeting.
So their community ask can't go up?
It can,
Based on this project, that if we put this project in, that they might come in and ask for double what they asked for last year.
Right. Yeah.
But we have the ability as a board
The town has.
in the town
At town
to
meeting.
say no to that and
Yeah.
give them a.
Those are separate articles at the town meeting. They're not factored into our municipal budget as an operating budget. It's
It's a
additional.
town meeting vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think the budget committee voted not to spend on most of those last year, and then the town in turn did vote to spend the money anyway.
Right.
So
That's
that
sort
was
of a
interesting.
taxpayer
Yeah.
choice, not ours.
I mean, this whole budget thing is gonna be a learning experience for
Yeah.
me, so.
You're good.
but-
At least this one can be 13-hour learning experience.
All right, am I signing the lease?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta vote.
All those in favor? You can sign the lease.
Can I get the first and second?
The first was
Elijah?
Elijah, and the second was Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 7, to designate a newspaper of general circulation in the town of Skowhegan as the official newspaper for the publication of all municipal notices and legal advertisements for the ensuing years.
First and a second.
Would entertain a motion here.
So I move we use Morning Sentinel as our paper of choice to communicate our town information.
We have a motion from Kevin Nelson for the Morning Sentinel.
Second.
We have a second from Ethan. Discussion.
Okay, so this is just a housekeeping item. Municipalities are supposed to adopt a newspaper. They're supposed to designate a newspaper that they are going to include all their required legal notices in. The motion doesn't just mean we're exclusively using this newspaper. We just have to designate one so that the public knows that that is where you can look at a minimum. We post it on many channels, especially depending on the notice, in addition to being posted physically and our website and social media. So this is just a housekeeping item. It's something we're supposed to do annually. So I found out that the town hasn't done that since 2017. So as well as these other motions below. So these are just housekeeping. These are housekeeping items.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Item 8, discussion and decision to authorize the town manager and their designees to accept non-real estate donations and grants on behalf of the town, so long as it does not encumber the town with any additional unapproved expenses.
So moved as written.
I have a
Second?
first from Amber and a second from Kevin. Discussion, please.
Okay, so this is just another housekeeping item. I looked back and couldn't find, it was murky if there was an official motion, so we should clean it up. The town is supposed to accept donations. It's as little as when the police department gets a meal donated from a restaurant, to if the rec department gets a scholarship donation or equipment donation. This allows the town, their designees would be the department heads, to take those donations in without having to present minimal items to the select board. This also allows us to take grants in. We, as an example, we recently just got a tech grant from the county. It's a small figure, but it's something that we would like to turn around and spend what we put the grant in for, which was just for some computers. So, and that's just an example. But the power to accept real estate and land, buildings, whatever, that still lies within the taxpayers at a town meeting. So this doesn't supersede that. This is just for those other donations and grants. And their designees as the department heads.
Thank you, Nick. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We move on to item 9. Item 9 and 10 are similar to the items that we've already discussed here. Discussion and decision to authorize the treasurer to pay all state fees, state and county taxes, and other obligations required by law to be paid by the town when due, without the necessity of a specific vote of the select board for each such payment, with a record of such payments to be provided to the select board at its next regular meeting. This is pursuant to 30-AMRS, section 5603, 2-A.
Second?
I have a first from Ethan and a second from Amber. Eli, I apologize.
So this is required by law to adopt annually by the municipality for, well, the next one will be payroll, but for state payables, it's what we've been doing already, but we need to adopt it every year in order to maintain that, and if we don't, we're not in compliance. So again, just another housekeeping item.
Housekeeping question.
Sure.
Where are you keeping track of this annualized task that, God forbid you get hit by a bus?
Yeah, I'm making a list. So there wasn't one when I inherited, hence why I'm sort of digging when I have a minute and finding all these.
In the modern era,
Yeah.
you do a repeating calendar item that reminds the person in your seat or person
Yes.
responsible for this to remember to put this on a select board agenda?
Definitely.
Is that going on some calendar that the town manager of Skowhegan?
There is actually something better. So Jason can speak to this. When I first took the helm officially, I gave each department head and myself an orange binder, and it's the go-to binder in case that department head or myself drop from the face of the earth the next day. This information goes in there so that they know when it's supposed to be done and when it was done last. The department heads know, but they're supposed to be updated yearly. So this would be something where I will accompany the minutes to that meeting, to that task. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is that like town policies as well, like the internal town policies? What is that manual?
It's a new policy that I've implemented.
Right, so
Yeah.
if you want to implement new standard operating procedures, that goes into a new book, or the orange book. I just feel like we're in the age of standard operating procedures, right?
Yes, yeah. So yes, your question is if there was something, it would go in that book.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So like,
All right.
for instance, Jason's going to have the road in addition to contacts for his department, whatever else Jason would have, any ordinances or policies relevant to his department in there, right?
Okay.
So that way, a department head can fill in for someone if needed. God forbid something happens with important dates as one of the cover sheets. This being one of them, right? So that's what's in the works.
Okay, thank you.
I love it. I think we should just do it.
Yeah, thank you, Amber, for bringing that up and clarifying. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Last but not least on the agenda here is discussion and decision to authorize the treasurer to pay employee wages, salaries, and benefits as they become due, without the necessity of a specific vote of the select board for each such payment, provided that such payments are within the amounts appropriated in the annual budget. This is also pursuant to 30-A MRS, section 5603, 2-A. I need a motion, please.
Move as written.
Kevin? One more.
Second.
Thank you, Ethan. We have a first from Kevin and a second from Ethan. Discussion.
This is the same requirement by the state as the one above. It's what we're already doing, and there's actually an additional requirement here. State law says you have to pay out wages in a certain time frame anyways, so we have to adopt this one in order to stay compliant with payroll or have a select board meeting every week.
We are already paying out employee wages before a select board.
Payroll.
So when we see the warrant,
Yep.
that's after the fact?
It's on there, yeah. It's after the fact, but it's a board member usually comes in, right, Kevin? Who comes in, one person comes in and signs the warrant every week.
Mm-hmm.
The chair or the vice chair. And then that way, we're allowed to pay wages, for instance, in a timeframe that's required by state law.
Mm-hmm. So just because payroll can sometimes include bonuses, overtime, things like that, is there a safeguard against conflicts of interest in this process here? Does it do departments pass through you, and does this pass through your hands and then to the treasurer for authorization?
Yeah, so we have an internal controls policy, and it basically touches everyone. It goes from our finance folks, it goes to Gail, it actually goes back there, and then it goes to me to review, and then it has to be signed by a select board chair. So there's multiple eyes looking at this. And that's not just for this, that's that's accounts payable, that's state payables, and that's payroll.
Which all department heads touch it too.
Right, and then, yeah, at the origin of that, department heads have to submit that, right? So then that's their, I guess there's two layers, because then I review what they submit for payroll, I have to sign off on it before Renee processes it, then Gail,
Okay.
the treasurer.
The only thing I might prefer in this item is just that that this pathway also has followed the internal controls policy.
Yes, I mean, it has to, yeah. None of our payments get through without passing through an internal controls policy.
Okay.
Like without our.
And that's a
internal
written
controls.
policy, that's just
Yes,
another example of
that's
the
a written
SOP,
policy.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
So by default, we can trust that that's the case.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do an internal reviews policy with you guys. It's you guys actually have a bit elaborate one here. But it's important to have them. One person can't make a decision with money.
Thank you, Nick. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We're going to move on to treasurer warrants. Is there a motion to approve the warrants?
As written.
Second?
And we have first from Elijah and a second from Amber. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Is there a way to get a line item, an issue for each, like a line item for the state payroll, what's involved in that? I mean, you've got a total amount here for payroll and 1, 2, 3 excess payroll.
It's this packet right here. So we don't print it out every meeting because it wastes a ton of trees, but we do make it available online. And if you want to call me before the meeting, I'm happy to give you a copy too. It's just a lot of paper, so.
I understand.
Yeah.
But it is available.
It is available, definitely. We post it every year, or every meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I would have no problem going over it with you as well.
Yeah.
We have all the documents right here.
Relative to the warrants, and we're just seeing this tonight.
Yep.
Can you speak to how are we doing in the audit process? Because we're paying some bills to the auditor.
Yep, so we have a pre-auditing firm, 2 accountants, our BTB Accounting, have been working with Renee and myself and a little bit Gail, getting our accounts squared away. The first part is reconciling our accounts, right? And we're talking about 2023's audit, so we have to go back 3 years. So their untangling is the best way to word it, which takes time, but they're doing that work so that then we have a product ready for Craig, our auditor.
Okay.
Yep. And then to build on that, we'll hire our finance person once that's cleaned up. That way we're not throwing them in a mess.
Okay.
Is that where you'd see contract services?
I gotta look at what you're looking at, hold on.
Is,
That would be under 01-12. 25.
Well, no, this one, you're referring to BTB's bill that's coming out of, right here. It's coming out of 010101.
Okay, personal service.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it should say that on the warrant as well. Yeah, it does. It's right here. Audit prep service, 010101.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
and then just it looks like your fiscal year-to-date report also confirms what we're saying in the warrant, which is we've got more legal fees to pay, we seem to be running high on.
You'll have more in
Yeah.
addition to those. I wasn't here for your budget process, but that number's low for a town this size, and clearly, we had some issues that we had to sort
Yeah,
out
yeah.
with wastewater and the unions, et cetera, so.
So I'm just curious, are there contingency funds that we use if we max out our approved legal?
We do have a reserve. I'll do an over/under expenditure. I'd rather do that first, just to how far we go above, because you can see we're doing very well year-to-date in other lines, so I'll know closer towards the end of the fiscal year where I could cover that bottom line number. But in emergency, we have a reserve.
We also have a reserve of the fees.
Yeah, I would just rather not touch that if we don't have to.
Yep, okay.
Are we addressing this at this meeting?
Oh, other business, yeah.
Other business,
Yep.
okay.
Did we take a vote?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We're going to move on to unfinished business. Do we have any updates on unfinished business?
The transfer station workshop, Cindy and I tentatively scheduled, as long as it works with you folks, it's February 12th at 1 p.m. It'll be in this room. We'll post that
I will
online.
not be here for that, unfortunately.
That's right. We'll record it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
I've given you the
Great.
update on the budget process timeline. The TIF educational workshop is pending, and Brian's is still working on the electric car, so charging station. So those are the updates for unfinished business.
How are we going to work on the TIF educational workshop?
We're going to probably schedule a presentation joint with me and another colleague that works with a lot of TIFs.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring someone external in to just give a fresh perspective. I'm learning about your TIFs alongside you folks, so I want to make sure that we have a solid presentation for folks. But we'll hopefully schedule that at some point in March. If we can do it earlier, we can, but you saw March is very busy, so prepping for the budget stuff, we'll see. But that's the idea, is we're going to do a public presentation.
Okay, I think that's a really important issue that we need to deal with. I've been looking into it over the past several days. We have 5 TIFs. And what I noticed is when the OAV is the original assessed value, when these TIFs start, that value stays, and that money at that value will go into the general tax fund. But as that value increases, that money goes into the TIF. And you should be able to measure the TIF performance by the increase in value from the original assessed value over the period of time. But I don't think that it takes into account the inflationary factors that we've dealt with. And in order to truly understand the TIF performance, we need to factor in inflation factors. And so I think it's going to be important for us to look at various tax commitment books that show the actual TIF districts and those values on a particular date, and compare that with the tax commitment book for the whole town. And then we can take some differences and see some percentages, and we'll have a much better understanding of how effective our TIFs are. And I look forward to getting into this so that the townspeople can have a much better understanding of where their money's going, how it's being spent, and how effective a town we are in moving our projects forward. With that said, is anybody interested in discussing the electrical vehicle charging station? Or is that still?
Brian's still working on data with that.
Do you know what his data points are, or what he's trying to find out for data?
He sent an email earlier to.
I sent a list of questions that were unanswered and not presented at the original vote for us to make an informed decision. We voted to revisit the discussion with more data. I outlined what my questions are, I copied Nick.
Yeah.
We got an email about an hour ago before this meeting that some of the information is in, but not all of it, and he's still working on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I would just be interested in like what it would take to make money on an electric vehicle station or whatnot, right? So what the, again, just a bigger analysis of like, somebody asked me tonight where I like to stop. Really where I like to stop is Freeport and like the Rivian ones because they're so fast. You just like run into LLB and you come out and you're done. I don't care what I pay. It just is done, right? And so that's cool. And I think a lot of people, I think if we could look at that like not entirely different from bringing ATVs to town, then that would be an interesting take. So yeah, I'm just curious on what it would take to win some of you guys over too, on it not costing the town any money at all, but rather making money.
I could get one over on it if I saw that it was self-sufficient and didn't cost the town money.
Right.
And if we could figure a way to get there, I'm all for it. I really believe in turning Skowhegan into a downtown recreation district. And that goes hand in hand with what the stump jumpers are trying to do. And just cross-marketing all of the different athletic opportunities, outdoor activities that are offered to bring people to Skowhegan.
For commerce.
For commerce.
Right. I think one of the criticisms I have about my own electric vehicle is that every time I stop and charge it, it's usually at a shopping center, right? So I usually have to get into that shopping center and spend money. And so it's not just the charge, it's also the $50 that I spend when I run into Hannaford or if I run into wherever I go.
So one of the things I did ask Brian to find out, because all we have is the raw data from this charger, but it doesn't compare number of visits, how much money is spent at faster charging stations, which are arguably, some people are going to make the decision that they need a faster charge, and that changes your decision about where you're going.
Yeah.
So to just say, let's raise the rates and let's raise the rates and put them on a slow charger doesn't solve the economic question or the business development question of what to have downtown.
A
and
lot of
why,
people.
and what to charge.
A
And
lot
why.
of people will just exclude that from their search immediately.
Right. So I asked him to go get some data from Hannaford, because those are the fastest ones in town that the public has access to. It looks like there's a really fast one behind Height, Chev too, but that may be for internal vehicles or the vehicles there.
Oh, wow.
So there's capability to put a faster one downtown. The slow one is what the town shows at the point.
What do we have for control over the ones at Hannaford? Are those Hannaford chargers or are those chargers that the town put in place?
They're not ours.
No, those are Hannaford chargers those are ChargePoint and Tesla chargers.
Yeah, the ChargePoint are great. The Tesla chargers don't accept the adapters.
Right.
And there's a series of Tesla chargers out there that do and a series that don't. Like
Yeah,
the ones at
yeah.
TJ Maxx and Augusta don't, but the ones on Civic Center Drive do.
Yeah.
So
Relative to the user who comes to Skowhegan, one of the data points that I think would be important for us to know is, can Brian find out from either ChargePoint or Hannaford, what is the business turning up there? Do they pay for themselves or do they not pay for themselves?
Yep.
Even when they're faster? You can't
compare those
take the
to the
rate
ones
per
in
kilowatt hour on a fast charger and charge the same thing on a slow charger. You're not getting the same value. So anyway, I'm hopeful we can.
It seems like
get
the
more
future of Tesla chargers that are not adapter compatible, I feel like that's yesterday's news, right? I think all the new ones that are coming out, I would assume are, adaptable to Fords or whatnot, or all the other cars. So, interesting.
Yeah, very. All right, so we we should move on to other business. Is there any other business?
Yes. Gail? So there's a memo from Gail that, and I vaguely remember this when I first started back in June, or it might have been before I got here and I was rewatching videos, but there was conversation about opening an escrow account for holding the summit checks. Summit.
Gas money that was coming in was supposed to go into an account.
Yep. And we didn't have Angel, we didn't have anyone really taking good notes, so we don't have the minutes from that meeting that specifically record a vote. So we need, and for the bank, for us to open that escrow, we need a motion and a second from the board that's approved to do this. Is that what you need, Gail?
We need a motion to open the account, to place the Summit Gas money in. It's an escrow account so that once they are done doing everything they're done doing with the roads, it's like a road opening permit. I mean, I remember sitting here and I remember seeing Jason talking about it because they changed the wording of the road opening permits. And then when I looked at that specific minutes, there was no recorded vote of putting this money in. And if, once everything's done, all the roads are back to the way they're supposed to be, they get the money back that was put in, and we, as a town, keep the
interest. Yep.
I move that we permit the town to open an escrow account to deposit checks from Summit Gas for road opening fees, whereby interest will be retained by the town and deposit monies will be returned to Summit Gas for work in good standing.
I've got a first from Amber,
Second.
second from Kevin. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. All right. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, adjourn. Second.
Okay, got a first from Kevin, second from Ethan. All those in favor? Motion's adjourned. Please sign the documents on your way up.
Well.